Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to one of my rare new film recommendations here, which will be a short one for the film Wolfman, which just came out a few weeks ago here in 2025, starring Christopher Abbott, who I mainly know from the show Girls, though looking back, he was in Poor Things and did a great job of that. And I've done a video for Poor Things versus Frankenhooker, and I will link to that one at the end in case you haven't seen it. This one also stars Julia Garner, who I'm most familiar with from Apartment 7A, another one that I did a video for and will link to at the end of this video, so be sure to stick around for that. And it is directed by Leigh Whannell, who among other things brought us The Invisible Man back in 2020, an interesting take on the idea that I actually enjoyed quite a bit. So, while I had originally thought about putting off this viewing until after I did my rewatch of The Wolfman from 1941, which is part of this Universal Classic Monsters Blu-ray set I've been working my way through slowly, I was up for a trip to the big screen and decided to check this one out. And I guess you could call it a remake, though the story seems like its own thing at this point, since they're not remaking the original film as much as just a new take on the werewolf idea. But as far as what that idea is, the synopsis for this film is as follows. A family at a remote farmhouse is attacked by an unseen animal, but as the night stretches on, the father begins to transform into something unrecognizable. So, as usual, I will avoid any spoilers and just give my thoughts as to why this one I feel is worth checking out. Since there are some new subscribers here, I figured I should mention that. Anyways, we open up with a backstory and title card referencing the woods of Oregon and a Native American legend of men wandering in the woods, getting infected with something, and becoming kind of like a man with a wolf's face. Then we go on to a guy who's out there raising his son at this very secluded house in the woods, trying to teach life lessons about how to survive, hunt, how dangerous the woods can be, and they encounter something. Something attacks him. They couldn't really see exactly what, but later that night the kid overhears the dad on the radio talking with somebody else about this encounter, about they just encountered this thing. And they kind of reiterate that he's not out there looking for this legend, but he has heard of that legend before. So it kind of sets the idea that this has been around a little bit. We then shift forward a few decades and learn that the kid has grown, has his own family now, is estranged from his father, but his father has died, leaving him the house. So this serves as a way to bring us to this house in the middle of nowhere to settle his affairs. Now, while working their way to the house, there's an accident, something is out there, and the father is attacked and injured, and the rest of the film is mainly just following them on this slow infection and transformation taking hold while this guy's wife and kid are trying to survive. Now, it may not sound like there's enough there that I sped through it, but this film is only an hour and 43 minutes, which is pretty short considering so many films these days seem to go for these long run times of 2:15, 2:30, 2:45. Can make it a bit rough to get through. This one has just the right runtime, in my opinion, for this story, and it gives us that sense of darkness and suspense without going on too long with that. Throughout this story, throughout this film, every performance is great, and the effects and design are even better. The CG is used where needed, practical is used where needed. It's a great mix, and the design, it's not just a wolf or a werewolf like we've seen before, or even like a man with a wolf head, but simply a very wolf-like person that is slowly transforming. But one aspect that really stood out to me regarding that transformation is how he is slowly changing. There may be growlings and such that we can't understand, but as the camera switches point of view, we see what he sees and hears. He's speaking, we can't understand him. He sees people with like this, he hears like this muffled tone from them, he can't understand what they're saying. He's seeing light reflecting off their eyes, and he can just see things very differently. So as that camera kind of changes its point of view, we get to see what they're trying to say to him, what they're hearing back, and vice versa. It's a really cool take to kind of bring us into what this person is feeling going through this transformation. That level of depth even goes as far as how he hears and speaks and sees, and ties us together in one of those like late night survival kind of movies, like the Universal classics of old. They move us towards tragedy and sympathy for this beast. So he's able to see things that humans can't see. He's able to hear things that we wouldn't even notice. It's a really cool take on it. But seeing this one on the big screen was a real treat as well, since I had no distractions that I would normally have here at home. No cell phone to look up something about the film, no way to pause it and get wrapped up in something else, kind of like multitasking in a way. it locked me in. That's one of the things that I like about the theater. I feel like if I had a screener of this to watch at home for this review, which I'm nowhere near the reach to get anything like that, I'm not even monetized yet, if I had that screener and was watching it on my PC, I may not have been into it as much. Too many small distractions can get in the way. Coupling that with that dark aesthetic, I don't think I would have been pulled into this film as much if I'd watched it in that circumstance versus out in the theater. Now, I did see some rumblings out there about this one being a bit boring, which I get it. You know, it's not action-packed in any way. It's not an action-packed film, and instead it's much more suspenseful and dramatic. So I completely understand some not liking this and even thinking it was quite boring. But for me, I really enjoyed it, and I feel like if someone is kind of prepped going in, knowing that the overall tone, you know, like how it's going to play out, what the overall tone and look and everything is going to be like, being a bit darker, a bit more dramatic, a little bit more of that slow build, they may actually end up enjoying it. Even if you saw it one time, kind of thought it was really boring, I would suggest wait a few months and give it a second chance. You might end up enjoying it, because this dark, tragic tale with this great creature design and a late night, secluded kind of look and feel is more than worth checking out. And speaking of checking out, thanks for checking out this latest short video here for Wolfman from 2025, which is currently in theaters, but knowing things today, it'll probably be streaming within a couple of days from now. So if it sounds interesting, go ahead and check it out. Anyways, that's all I have for this short entry here. Thanks for checking out the video and sticking around to the end. If you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up, and if not already subscribed, consider subscribing and hitting that bell icon to get notifications for when I put up new content, which is 1 to 3 times a week. Thanks again for coming by, and I will see you in the next one.